My 7-year-old daughter wrote stories that actually shocked me. I never imagined that a simple bedtime story could take such a turn. My 7-year-old daughter started writing her own spooky stories. At first, cute, funny, innocent. But then she wrote something that genuinely shocked me. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or be completely stunned. And the truth is, some of what she wrote eerily mirrored real-life events in ways I couldn't explain. Expanded story, 4,000 words, TTS ready, optimized pauses. I've always loved reading to my daughter. When she was little, she would see me reading spooky stories online and beg me to read them to her. That's when her fascination with scary tales quietly began. At first, I tried to keep everything kid-friendly. I'd choose stories that were simple, dumbed down, added Scooby-Doo moments, funny twists, or harmless chaos so she could follow along without being genuinely frightened. She would sit cross-legged on the floor, eyes wide, leaning forward every time I turned the page. I thought the stories might scare her a little, but she always wore a huge, delighted smile. We quickly developed a routine. 1 story a day, sometimes 2 if she behaved exceptionally well. I'd use an extra story as a little reward, a way to encourage good behavior. Most online stories were far too intense for her age, so I adapted them. Instead of people getting hurt, there were monsters, mischievous kittens, or Scooby-Doo saving the day. I added funny sound effects, exaggerated expressions, and light suspense without crossing into truly scary territory. When I got a new laptop for work, I wiped it clean. No browsers, no internet access. Just safe games like Freddy Fish or Pajama Sam. I wanted her to explore, create, and have fun without stumbling onto something she shouldn't. But then she began writing her own stories. Every time she finished one, she would email it to me by printing it out, putting it in an envelope marked with a big E, and handing it to me proudly. She would beg me to read it immediately. After reading, she would always ask, "Did I scare you?" I never had the heart to tell her the truth. Her stories were adorable, more fun than scary. They were usually about princesses being captured, kittens facing mischievous monsters, and almost always included Scooby-Doo. I would play along and say she scared me. She would beam and declare, "No way! Daddies aren't scared of anything." But as a parent, I knew the truth. We're scared of many things. I worry about losing my job, about accidents, about my family's safety. I remember back when she was first born. Just turning my back for a second felt terrifying. Then one day, she wrote a story that genuinely shocked me. It went like this. Sherry's friend gave her some magical glitter. He said it was sugar, but he lied. Sherry ate a lot of it through her nose. She danced, twitched, and then she passed away. No one ever found out what her friend did. I froze. The idea of someone passing away, even in a story, was not something I expected from a 7-year-old. She looked up at me with her big grin and asked, "Did I scare you?" For the first time, I said yes. She skipped off, happily, claiming, "No way! Daddies aren't scared of anything." I couldn't stop thinking about it. I asked my wife if she had seen anything that could have inspired it, maybe a TV show, maybe school, but nothing explained it. About a week later, a news story appeared. A girl had passed away after accidentally consuming the wrong substance. The details were eerily similar to my daughter's story. I realized she must have overheard something and her imagination filled in the gaps. Even though it was unsettling, I chose not to confront her. I didn't want her to associate her story with real events. A few days later, she wrote another story. Danny was bored. So, he borrowed a car without asking. It belonged to someone dangerous. When they found him, they hurt him badly and drove away. I froze again. The words were stark, direct, coming from the innocent voice of my 7-year-old. She looked at me, waiting for my usual reaction. I asked where she heard it. She insisted she made it up. I told her it was too intense and grounded her from writing for a while. But curiosity, got the better of me. I researched and found a news story about a boy in a similar situation, but the timing didn't make sense. Her story had come before the news. I couldn't explain it. Coincidence? Imagination? Something beyond my understanding. Over the next few weeks, her stories became more elaborate. She began describing settings in vivid detail, the way sunlight filtered through a window, the creak of an old staircase, how shadows stretched across a room at night, the smell of rain on the pavement, the rustle of leaves in the wind, and the soft drip of a leaky faucet. Her characters had personalities, fears, small quirks that made them feel real. I started noticing a pattern. She often used events she had overheard, in the news or in conversation, and transformed them into her fictional worlds. Even mundane things like a lost pet or a neighborhood quarrel could become a thrilling adventure or a scary story. One day, she wrote a story about a small-town library. A mysterious book appeared, and anyone who opened it would vanish into the pages, their own story becoming part of the book. Reading it, I felt my heart race. It was more suspenseful than anything I had expected. The imagery, the pacing, even the clever twists made me forget she was only 7. A few days later, she handed me another envelope. This one thicker, heavier. Daddy got upset. Daddy tied me and Mommy in the basement. I'm fine. I'm hungry and thirsty. Daddy brought my t-ball bat and tapped Mommy until she stopped moving. Daddy hasn't stopped crying since. I hope Mommy and Daddy feel better. Reading this, my chest tightened. Even though it was fictional, the rawness, the perspective of a child trying to make sense of conflict, was chilling. I realized something important. Children's imaginations are incredibly powerful. Even when they don't fully understand the world, they can reflect events, emotions, and ideas in ways we adults never anticipate. I still read to her carefully now, choosing stories that are spooky but safe, and always encouraging her creativity. Even though some stories startled me, I'm proud of her imagination. It's a reminder that creativity and curiosity can take you places you never imagined. Even for a 7-year-old, the line between reality and imagination can feel surprisingly thin. Over time, I noticed her stories evolving further. She began experimenting with suspense, foreshadowing, and unexpected twists. A simple bedtime tale about a lost kitten could now include mysterious shadows, a secret passage, a hidden treasure, or a ghostly whisper in the hall, keeping me engaged from start to finish. Some nights, she would write for hours, sometimes whispering her story aloud as she typed. Her excitement was contagious. I often found myself leaning over her shoulder, laughing, gasping, or feeling a chill all at the same time. Reading her stories became a ritual, a connection between us, and a window into her brilliant, vivid mind. I even started taking notes, small ideas I could add to my own writing, or ways to gently guide her creativity towards safer themes. Her stories remained suspenseful, but always safe for a child's age and safe for YouTube. Sometimes I would imagine what she would write when she's older, and feel a little thrill and a little fear at the same time. I started noticing subtle patterns in her imagination. The way she combined real events, overheard conversations, and transformed them into completely fictional yet eerily familiar tales. She began creating entire worlds, with maps, secret locations, and characters with complex relationships, a level of detail I hadn't expected. Her small stories became epic adventures, some ending happily, some leaving me in suspense, wondering what she would dream up next. Her imagination had no boundaries, and I realized this was both beautiful and terrifying. Reading her stories, I learned that creativity can be unpredictable, powerful, and sometimes chilling. Even though some moments startled me, I always felt an immense pride watching her mind grow, expand, and knowing that one day she would tell the world her stories. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want more real-life chilling tales, subscribe and hit the notification bell. You won't want to miss the next story.